Rick, how did you find Carnivore?
How did I find Carnivore? Well, it was about 2 years ago that my wife and I, we're both retired. We're kind of on a fixed income, and we were complaining about cost of our internet, and our cable bill was like 160, $180 a month, and we thought that was outrageous. So one day, I just decided to cancel it, and I canceled it. And I got on Amazon and I ordered some Fire Sticks for the TV, and I had them put on the TV. And then I started looking through that internet stuff on the TV. What could I watch? And I'm thinking, wow, no Sunday night football, none of the stuff I was accustomed to watching, no Fox News channel or no, you know, local channel. I couldn't find them at first anyway. It took me a while to navigate through that. But I did notice YouTube, and I started watching YouTube videos, and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. And I never watched it on my phone before I got these TVs in the house. And then my wife, she never had a smartphone, so I got her a smartphone. And my wife is a wonderful lady. She was born in Mexico. She she didn't have a phone that was a smartphone before because she couldn't navigate through the instructions and stuff on the phone, so she never had one. Well, when I got her the smartphone, she learned real quick how to access YouTube videos, and she would look, for recipes and kind of things she was interested in. Well, I'd be looking on my phone for things like how to repair your car or how to do this or how to do that. And my stepson and I, we actually did a bunch of major repairs on both of our vehicles just by using YouTube videos, because you could find the exact same problem on your car, your year, your model that somebody was fixing. So it made things pretty easy. And I thought, wow, this is awesome. So at the same time, I'm 73. I'll be 74 in June. My wife is 74 now. She looks a lot younger than me because she colors her hair, which I don't do because I don't have much. Anyway, so I started looking at videos on longevity because we want to both live as long as we can, and we're both pretty healthy, and we both have been healthy. But I've had knee surgery on both knees. I've got sore joints. I have two part-time jobs because I'm paranoid about running out of money in my old age when I can't work anymore. So I want to be active all as long as I can. Anyway, so I got onto a carnivore diet idea by watching. I saw Kerry Mann's 30-day. I'm sure you've seen it. His Homestead How 30-day result video, and he told me, I stopped snoring after 1 week, and I sleep better, and I don't have to use my CPAP machine anymore. My brain fog went away in about a month or less than a month, and all that stuff, and I watched his video, and then I started watching all kinds of videos on the carnivore diet because all that stuff sounded really intriguing to me and really exciting to me. And I even tried to tell my wife, watch these, but she would rather watch the things she was into. And so I didn't push it too much. But the reason I wanted her to see the videos is because my wife was diagnosed with lupus about 10 years ago, and she's had a lot of issues with, her joints and her fingers and stuff. And she's been taking medication. I think she's been taking hydrochloroquine, which I guess was a standard medication for lupus. She's been taking that for like 10 years. And I don't like taking any kind of medicines myself. So I was worried about that, but I did research on hydrochloroquine. And of course, that's the medication that they told us we couldn't use for carnivore diet. I mean, for the coronavirus and stuff like that, but it's also a drug for malaria. So evidently, it improves your ability to fight off viral infections. Anyway, she's been taking that, and she's relatively, you would never think she's got lupus because when she bends over and touches her toes in front of the doctor, he's kind of amazed. But most of his rheumatology patients can't do much like that, so she's doing well. So I don't bother her about the carnivore diet that much. But I've been doing this for 18 months now, and I think she's kind of changing her ideas. She eats a lot more meat, and she also seems to, she likes to cook my meats for me when I go to my jobs and I come back. When I come back, there's a nice big ribeye waiting for me, which I enjoy, and then she'll make two of them, and I'll say one's for you and one's for me, and she'll go, well, I can't eat as much as you. I'll just have half. So in my mind, that's awesome for her to have half because that way she's not eating a tortillas or she's not eating some of the stuff that we used to both enjoy a lot, like carbs and sugar and stuff and sweets. But anyway, that's her and I, the way we eat now. And that's how I learned about carnivore, going through a YouTube video.
So, sorry, how long has it been now?
Well, in January, I think it's going to be 2 years since I threw out our cable, and probably a couple months after that when I first learned about carnivore diet. But before that, on carnivore diet, I saw videos on intermittent fasting and the I'm trying to stay healthy. I'm thinking I heard the term autophagy, and I'm thinking, what is that? And so then I got on a couple doctors' channels. Dr. Eckberg, I think had stuff on autophagy and explained the whole situation on how your body has a lot of cells that are ready to die or they're inefficient and they need to be replaced. And if you're eating 6 meals a day and snacking all day long, you probably don't get much chance to clean out your old cells. So it's a good idea to not eat as much. So I learned about the autophagy, and then after that, I tried fasting a little bit, like for 3 days or something. And I realized, well, wow, I feel pretty darn good after I haven't eaten for 3 days. And I was like 170 pounds and I went down to 150 within about 2, 3 months. And, you know, my wife and I went to a party with some old friends that we hadn't seen for about 6 months. And after we got home that day, my wife said, friends think you have cancer. And I go, what do you mean they think I have cancer? Because I lost weight and I hadn't noticed that my face was a lot thinner and stuff, but they didn't want me to know, but they were asking, is Rick okay? What's wrong with Rick? And I thought that was kind of funny in a way, but then I started realizing I am losing a lot of weight. I better try to figure out how to stop. I don't want to waste away to nothing. So I started doing more exercise and I started eating as much as I have. In the morning, I work for UPS. In the morning at 4 o'clock, I wake up every morning at 4 and I go to the airport in Lansing, Michigan, where we live. And we unload two jets and we load a bunch of planes that go all over the state. All that's done in about 2 hours. So I go into work at 5 o'clock. I get there at 5 and I get home by 8 every morning. But in that time, it's like time is money. We're moving boxes and packages and loading and unloading. It's all heavy physical work, which to me is awesome. It's a workout that I get paid for. So then I get home after that, and I'll eat like 4 eggs and 4 pieces of bacon. And maybe the only thing that I'm doing now that I still am doing that I want to try eliminating is I drink a cup of coffee with heavy cream in it. But I think coffee is, I'm kind of addicted to coffee, just like I used to be addicted to sugar and ice cream and pop and all kinds of other stuff, none of which I've had for almost 2 years. I haven't had any of that stuff. Every once in a while, I'll take a bite of something just to satisfy a slight craving. But other than that, I'm pretty strict now on Breakfast, I'll have eggs and bacon, and then when I get home from my job at 8 o'clock, that's when I have that breakfast. Then I have another part-time job that I work at a dealership, car dealership. I go out there and I work for 4 hours, so I work like 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. And like I told you, I'm retired, but I'm 73 and a half, and I'm one of the oldest guys that works for UPS out there loading planes, but I can keep up with all the people out there. The young guys in their 20s and 30s. One thing I can tell you, when I got onto the carnivore diet and I started really focusing on just beef, bacon, butter, and eggs, I realized that I would unload a bunch of cans that come off the jet, and then we'd have to go out and reload the stuff that we had put in those cans, reload small planes out on the airport deck or tarmac, whatever you want to call it. So I would, and I like to be a physical worker. Nobody's going to tell me I'm too old and I can't do the job anymore. I mean, if that happens, that'll be me telling myself that, and then I'll leave. But until then, you know, a lot of people don't want to go up into that little plane and have the boxes coming in there as fast as they can send them to you and stacking them. A plane that's a small plane, but it used to be used for maybe 25 passengers. Now it's just totally empty inside, and so it's like a big sausage, and you got to fill that thing up with packages like like you're playing what do you call that game, Tetra?
And you're doing all that fasted, right?
Yeah, fasted because I don't eat. I eat my last meal of the day about 3 o'clock, and then I don't eat again until I get home from work at 8 in the morning. So my autophagy has plenty of time, I think, to kick in. And I can tell you, I feel like 20 years younger than I did 10 years ago.
Nice. And what's that second meal?
Second meal, I get home and my wife, a lot of times, one of my favorites is pork belly. A lot of times she'll have a big slab of sliced pork belly in the oven and already cooked and everything, salted and everything, starting to cool. And I'll come home and I'll eat about 3 or 4 pieces of pork belly. And I love pork belly. And then after that, I will maybe I'll have some scrambled eggs, or maybe I will just have a cup of coffee with heavy cream, and that might be all I'm going to eat. But a lot of times I'll have a ribeye or a couple of New York strip. So I'm basically beef, bacon, butter, and eggs.
And so over like, you're feeling younger and you've got so much more energy. Are there any other things you noticed along the way?
Well, I noticed, you know, even stepson and I were working on our cars, watching a YouTube video. I set down my wrench, a certain size, over here, and then I do something over here, and then I go back. Where did I put that wrench? I couldn't remember things. I was starting to get a little paranoid about becoming senile. So I'll tell you what, that kind of went away. I feel much more alert. I feel much more alert when I'm driving now. Because when I at the dealership, my main job is I'll help them do dealer trades. So they'll send me off with a new car from our lot, and I'll drive 200-300 miles to another dealership in another part of the state and trade that car for a different car that somebody in our area wants and bring that back. So they trust me to drive those brand new cars all over the place and the $80,000 pickups and stuff. So I need to be sharp. I need to be a good driver. And my wife was telling me, I'm worried about you because sometimes in the years past I would make a driving error, and she doesn't forget stuff like that, and she's going to tell me. I tell her, man, I had to go all the way into Detroit today, and it took me 2 hours to get through the traffic, and there was construction and everything. Rick, I think you should quit that job because what happens if you have an accident or something? So I'm so glad that my brain has become less foggy. And I didn't even realize it was so bad. But now that I have my brain back to like I was when I was a lot younger, I still forget things. But I mean, I'm more confident now because I can, figure my way out of any kind of a driving situation, or I can plan ahead to make sure that nothing unexpected happens. And I just feel calmer inside. Another thing too, like on when I was unloading the airplanes, I used to get sweaty and I'd be sore when I got home, and I'd tell my wife, "Man, I got to sit down for a minute before I go out to the dealership." Now I don't get tired. I do not get tired. I can work at a fast pace for 4 hours without a break, and it doesn't bother me.
And like you say, you're keeping up or overtaking the younger guys there, right?
Well, I have a certain pace, you know. I move at the same pace all the time, you know, no matter what I'm lifting, if it's heavy, you know, I just, you know, I go like this, you know, move my stuff. And some people, they go like this, and then they look around and they grab another one. They go, and, you know, you get yelled at when you do stuff like that because time is money. It is in that business, you know, we need our planes. The jets get to our place from Louisville, Kentucky, and from Rockford, Illinois. They get to Lansing, and they have a bunch of cans on that they bring out, and we have to transfer those packages and get them on the planes that we're sending out and the drivers that we're sending out, and that has to all be done in 2 hours. When I first started, that was 10 years ago. When I first retired from my permanent job that I had before, that I worked 25 years at, I was retired. Okay, let me tell you this: I was retired, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I knew that I didn't feel comfortable with the amount of money we had saved and everything, and I didn't want to just sit around and drink beer and get old and die. You know, I run out of money before I ran out of oxygen or whatever before I died. I took our car down to the local dealership in town, Buick dealership, to get some oil change or something. And one of my good friends from years back, he was a sales manager over there, and I hadn't seen him for like 10 years. And I was sitting in the waiting room waiting for them to tell me my oil change was done. And Gary, this guy, he came out and he said, "Rick, is that you? I haven't seen you for a while. What have you been doing?" I said, "Well, I'm retired." And he's my age. And he says, "Man, I wish I could retire." I said, "Yeah, I'm retired. I'm kind of bored though. I just got to figure out something to do." And he said, "You know what? We need somebody to work for us to do dealer trades and help us out because you know, we're pretty busy right now." So I started doing that 10 years ago. And that was before I started working at UPS. I found out about the UPS job later. I got all I can handle right now. I mean, as far as time goes, but I can get all that stuff done. I get a workout from UPS in the morning, and then I get, I would call kind of a fun job. You can drive around the state with new cars all the time. And I get home by 2 o'clock. So it's not bad.
Yeah, definitely. And so your weekends are free? Like what's a normal weekend like for you?
Okay, on a normal weekend, I work at the dealership. I go in there at 10 o'clock, or no, 9 o'clock, and I work till 1, and they're only open till 1. And we usually don't sell too many cars. Sometimes, well, last Saturday we sold 2 cars, and usually they're not. There's something that a person bought like Friday or Thursday or whatever, and they were going to come and pick them up on Friday. So usually we have the car ready for them when they come in on Saturday, and I just have to go get it and bring it up. But sometimes somebody will come in and they buy a car, they got the money, and or they can get the financing arranged right away, and they want to take the car that day. Then I have to grab the car and take it down to the gas station, fill it up, and then I have to clean it and get it all, you know, ready for them to, you know, it's got to be clean, spotless, basically. And especially we sell used cars too. Some of those used cars, they take a little work. So if you get what's called a spot delivery, you know, like where they come in and they want to take it home that day, you got to be on the ball to get that thing ready for them. That's when I work hard, but mostly on Saturday I just clean clean the building and stuff, which I love to do because when I worked full time, I worked 25 years as a supervisor in a factory, and it was deadlines all the time, and you know, stress. Did a lot of walking, but I also did a lot of worrying and confronting people and having issues to deal with. When I retired, I told my wife, I said, Tina, what I want to do is find some mindless physical labor to do, and that'll be fine with me. And or have a job where somebody tells me what to do, and I say, yes, sir, and I do it. So that's, I feel pretty fortunate. I've got everything kind of the way I want it now. But the main thing right now that I feel fortunate about, I found out how to eat properly to extend my life and to even be able to hopefully get my family on track with nutrition and teaching them how. Oh, I think our food system is totally messed up in this world, and not just in the United States. It's bad here, but even in other countries like India and stuff, diabetes is huge everywhere because of the people are eating the wrong foods. And it all started, here I am, I'm starting to rant and rave. And I told you, if you get me started, you might not be able to stop me. I learned from Anthony Chaffee, all that stuff started in the 50s when Dwight D. Eisenhower had a heart attack. And that was one of the first times anybody of importance in our country had a heart attack, and everybody freaked out. And food companies and the doctors made a snap decision saying it's too much fat in your diet. And then everybody got paid off to promote that idea. And then the fast food companies started making big money. And that's where everything went wrong. They had it upside down, and it's been upside down for 50 years.
Yeah, in many ways, I feel like the way the food industry has developed is actually worse than the way the tobacco industry developed. Like, the
Yeah.
food industry buried the truth way more, I think.
I think you're right about that. I think they have. And I think a lot of the same people that found themselves without a job when people started to quit smoking, developed, you know, they figured that they could do the same thing selling junk food to people, make big money that way. They didn't probably think it was junk food. They probably thought, most of the time, they thought they were probably doing the right thing, but they had the wrong science behind everything.
Right. And it's the same playbook as well. It's like get the kids addicted and then they'll stay addicted their whole lives. And the really bad thing about it is, if you wouldn't allow a 10-year-old to have a cigarette, but you'll
Right.
let them have a Happy Meal, you'll let them have a granola bar,
Yeah. Or you give them a lot of sugar, and the sugar's got all the cereal with all the pictures on the box, and the kids want that one because of the pictures on the box. But that's also the one that's got all the food coloring that other countries won't allow, or it's got all the sugar. And then, yeah. And I have a grandson. My last grandson is 2 years old, and he is an awesome little guy. We watch him during the week, like a couple 3 days a week. My wife has him in the morning, for like 5 hours, 3 days a week. And he loves coming over here. But you know what his favorite food is? Eggs, sunny side up, and milk. Unhum, un, Unhomogenized milk that I get from a dairy out in the small town where my dealership that I work at. It's a That's where I get my heavy cream, and I found this unhomogenized milk. It's got a cream plug, just like the milk used to be when I was a little kid. You pour that cream plug out, and the milk tastes so good and sweet. He drinks that and eats eggs over at our house. And his parents said he doesn't want to sit at the table and eat. He just wants to run around and eat in front of the TV and watch his little videos. He watches little videos on the parents' phone, like cartoon videos. And my wife said, you know what? When he comes over here, he's got a place to sit at our table, and he knows where his place is. And he gets up there and he wants huevitos and milk. Huevitos is eggs and milk. What he does do sometimes is he'll eat his eggs and drink it. He's got a little sippy cup that he drinks out of, and he'll go lay down in front of the TV watching his cartoons, and then he'll zonk out for about a 2 hour nap. That gives my wife a good break. She's happy
Ah,
about
right. Nice. Um, So, how have people around you reacted? I know your wife's friends kind of thought maybe you had cancer, but like, how about the rest of your family?
Well, my kids, my stepson and my stepdaughter, they know that I'm on the carnivore diet, and they know I just eat beef, butter, bacon, and egg. And but they know their mom, she doesn't. That my wife, this is my second or actually my third marriage. I think they are kind of interested in it, but they're kind of like me when I was their age. They're busy trying to make ends meet, and they've got kids to deal with, and you know, I'm kind of lucky now. I have less things to worry about, and I can. My main concern is my health and being around, so my wife and I can enjoy our life for the next 20 years. And after listening to Dr. Chafee, and he's telling us that our called telomeres say that we should be able to live to 120. Saw that video on the 80-year-old cattle rancher, Maggie, and you look at her and she looks like she's out there lifting weights all day. And she put Kerry Mann to shame when he went out there to film her because he couldn't keep up with her. So I feel very optimistic about the future if I stay. This gives me something to focus on that is positive for everybody. Everybody can see a change in me. I probably wouldn't want to sit here and talk to somebody online 5 years ago, but to me, this very makes me feel happy to talk to people about this because it's a good thing that people can do. I think to eat the proper human diet because I don't have any worries anymore. I don't care what happens. I don't worry about anything. I just figure out what the problem is, how we're going to fix it. Before I would think about money problems or I would think about what happens if this happens and I can't do this or now I don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, if someone came to you for advice and said, "Okay, I'm willing to try the carnivore diet, I'll give it 90 days," what would you recommend to maximize their chances of success?
Oh, let me see. I think one of the things I would say is make sure you have a good reason why you want to do it. Mine, my reason is that I want to live as long as possible and I want to be able to do things as long as possible. I don't want to just sit around and I want to help people, even if it's just by an example of, you know, showing them what I'm doing. If that helps anybody at all, I'm very happy to do that. But I would say first, have a good reason, because if you don't have a good reason, you might just decide to give it up because it's kind of hard at first. Another thing is when people are all eating things around you that you used to love, and it makes you feel kind of guilty that if you don't, they offer you something and you say no, it's kind of, it puts them off sometimes, I think. Maybe they think you're a little weird, which I don't care. I know I'm a little weird, but I, my wife is very, she didn't want to do it. And she didn't, she thought I was going to be telling her that she should do it because I know better. And we solved that issue a long time ago. I used to think I knew better because I graduated from college and she doesn't read and write Spanish or English very well, but she's got more common sense than I do. So, I used to think that I think she thought I thought I was smarter than her. Well, she's proven me wrong on that quite a few times already. So she doesn't worry about me trying to force her, but she goes right along. She's always worried about, do I have enough meat in the house, or we go to Costco and we pick out meat, and I go out and then we have to pick out. Obviously, we have to pick out things that she wants, and one of the things she likes to spend money on. We have two spoiled Chihuahuas, and they have a certain kind of treats that they are addicted to, and so she has to spend like $20 a week on those or more even. But I don't care because I work two jobs and we got plenty of money, and dogs have to be healthy too. And as a matter of fact, all of my scraps that I don't eat from my carnivore diet, they go to the dogs. And now we don't go to the vet anymore. We had two sick dogs about 2 years ago, and now we got two puppies that are 12 and 8 years old. Yeah, they got healthier. And you can see it. They both lost weight, and our older dog, 12 years old, she used to be, her teeth were bad, and her breath smelled, and she didn't, we were thinking she was going to die about 2 years ago. We took her to the vet, and they wanted to put her on heart medicine, and they didn't want to fix her teeth because they didn't think she was going to be able to survive being put under. And that was going to cost us like $800 or something like that just for that. And she's only got a mouth the size of a chipmunk. So I just told Tina, let's just feed her meat. And they love the meat now. And now she runs around like she did when we first got her and she was 6 weeks old. And she barks all the time, loud, and they're both pretty healthy.
Yeah. Um, so Rick, do you have any way of reaching out to you? Do you have any social media?
No, I don't. I have email and I do have Facebook, but I don't get on there very much.
Sure. Well, if it's okay, I'll link to your email below, and if people want to get in contact, they can reach out that way.
And that'd
Um,
be all they have to do is put in their subject matter carnivore diet, and then I'll open that up automatically. A
sure.
lot of times, I see something I don't know where it came from. I just ignore it.
Mm, no worries. So yeah, I'll include that below. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Okay, Dave, and thank you you put that notice on your page that's saying that somebody was interested in getting on your podcast to give it my email, and I sent my email to you, and you got right back to me. So I appreciate that very much because this gives me a chance to get my word out a little bit too.